Welcome to I Got a Guy podcast, a podcast carefully designed to introduce a wide range of very talented and highly skilled professionals ready to share their knowledge and advice with you. Please welcome the host of I Got a Guy podcast, Michael Drelichars. Hello, and welcome to I Got a Guy podcast. I'm your host, Michael Drelichars. Thank you again so much for being with us. We've got so many loyal subscribers. I really appreciate and see the numbers growing every week. That tells me that we're doing a good thing. We're bringing on the right people. You're enjoying the different guests, and we have such a wide range of guests throughout the months here that we've had. And so I appreciate that, and I appreciate the feedback we've been getting from our listeners, emails and messaging, comments about the different guests that we've had. And I really appreciate it, and I know our guests do as well. This broadcast, as you those of our loyal subscribers know, was born out of reading a book called The Go-Giver. The Go-Giver is a great story that Bob Burg wrote about how businesses grow through giving referrals. So many people think referral networking is all about getting referrals. Well, the reality is, if you give referrals, you will grow your business, and that's the premise behind the story. And it motivated me to actually start this podcast a couple years ago. So in this book, there are 5 laws of stratospheric success, and we're going to touch on one of them here in a moment. But to any of our new listeners, if you would like to find any past episodes of I Got a Guy podcast, I encourage you to go to our website, which is igotaguypodcast.com. And you can find all of our past episodes. You can listen to them. You can also watch them on Rumble and YouTube. The first 20 or so episodes were not on the video platform, but everything now is on the video platforms, Rumble and YouTube. So you can watch the podcast if that's more convenient for you, or simply listen to them on a wide range of audio platforms. So that's a great way to catch up on past guests and great information that we've shared. And if you'd like to be a guest on an upcoming episode, I do encourage you to click on the contact pop-up that comes up on the website, where you can put your name and email address in there and a quick little sentence or two, kind of what your thoughts are. It comes right back to me, and we'll have a conversation and see if we can get you on the schedule here for an upcoming episode. So love to always bring on new guests, new industries, new slants, or new segments of certain industries, and just broaden the scope. It helps everybody out. So this week we have a guest that's new to I Got a Guy podcast. The stratospheric success law that I want to focus on today is the law of value, which is defined by give more in value than you receive in payment. Give more in value than receive in payment. I think it's a really important aspect. This did come out of that book, The Go-Giver. And I think as you get to know our guest this week, you'll understand the type of value that she provides companies throughout the area. And it's really important stuff. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. So allow me to introduce our guest, Kathleen Parhas from Beacon Hill Staffing. Kathleen, welcome.
Hi, Michael. Thanks again for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you for being willing to be a guest this week. Love to learn more about Beacon Hill Staffing and what makes your company unique and special, and then certainly get into some specific successes that you've had, so that our listeners can really get an idea of how you might be able to help them. So so thank you for that. And why don't you start off, but tell us a bit about your background and about Beacon Hill Staffing.
Yeah, great. So again, my name's Kathleen. I oversee the associates division here in Oakbrook, Illinois. What we focus on for associates is HR and other office professional placement roles. So that's everything from customer service, call center, administrative, executive assistants, even clerical types of roles. I've been in the industry for 11 years now. It's hard to believe that it's been that long, but I've always serviced the greater Chicagoland area, specifically focusing on the suburbs. But we do work throughout the Chicagoland area, and we do have some clients in the city as well, and a couple different offices there and verticals. So again, those are the types of roles that we staff for. And we've been in the area for, I think our associates team started 13 years ago in downtown Chicago. I came on board at Beacon Hill about 3 years ago, just over 3 years ago. I started originally in our Glenview office. So um, the regional director there, she started that office after starting in Chicago. She had lived in the suburbs and she was basically saying that she didn't want to commute every day downtown, so wanted to be closer to home. So her and our VP built a business plan. How can we justify, having clientels that are in the northern suburbs, and really built the value of what it is that we do with that, and was able to open up the Glenview office about 5, 6 years ago. Um, Obviously I came on board, I started off there, and I essentially mirrored what it is that she did. And I, was able to build a business plan here in the western suburbs, specifically in the Oakbrook area. I've always been out in the area. It's always intrigued me to, find more companies in the area too. We're not industry specific, so that's definitely something that gives us an edge as far as the types of clients that we work with. And there's just a lot of businesses in the Oakbrook area and the surrounding western suburbs. So just really targeting, those companies and being able to be resourced that way.
Yeah, that market is really strong. I just drove through there this morning. Actually, I was in the south side on Oak Lawn earlier today, and there's a lot of businesses around there. So I can
Mm-hmm.
imagine, especially with you focusing on the customer service, human resources departments. Every large company has those departments, so you can really serve all of them. I mean,
Right.
it's those that need your service, of course, but that's there's so much opportunity. It's almost endless.
Yeah, definitely. And that was part of the reason why I was looking to open up the office there, just because, and there's a good mix, right, of, larger companies as well as smaller, even more like manufacturing, light industrial. Like it's a good mix of that blue collar, white collar type of industries. And again, we're not industry specific, so we're able to help out all of our clients depending on what it is that they're looking for.
Sure, sure. So do you go out as far west as like Naperville area?
As far west as Naperville, I know we have some clients that are in like the Aurora,
Mm,
Batavia area too. Um, I haven't personally been out as far as like DeKalb, so to speak, but I know that we've had some clients that have been even further west than those.
okay,
Um, I've always done like companies that are in even like the northwest suburbs too. So I have like clients that are in McHenry. I have clients that are in Antioch, everything that's within that. Again, it's a wide area, but anything within that Chicagoland suburbs area.
so where the need takes you, you're able to go to it. So that's
Exactly.
but that's this market has been really strong, and I think now we're going to see some shift in the economy here coming up in the next year or two, and I think that's going to really bode well for growth of these businesses because you're talking really you do you work with like the Fortune 100 type companies, or is it the medium sized companies?
So personally, I've always had most success with that small to medium sized
Mhm.
company.
Okay.
Usually those companies, they are looking to grow to that next tier.
Sure.
They might not necessarily have the infrastructure internally to get to that point. However, they, need to grow their staff in order to grow their business, and they're kind of at that sweet spot. That's been where I've been most successful. But we do also have several larger clients that are within that, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 scope.
Sure.
A lot of financial services companies, again, like just private equity owned, just depending on what it is that, they might be looking for. But yeah, I would say that like small to medium sized company has been where I've personally found the most success.
And do you at Beacon Hill, you focus on staffing? Is it temporary or permanent staffing? What's your or do you serve a variety of areas?
Yeah, so we do a variety. So temporary to hire, and direct hire is what we can offer. My team mostly focuses on that temporary to hire side.
Okay,
So those types of positions tend to be, there's a definite end date, or there's a definite start date with a definite end date, and it is just for a project period. So that's an additional source that we can help with our clients. A lot of times people are looking for that permanent fit, but they're not quite sure what it is that they're looking for on the permanent side. So that temp to perm option is something that's really attractive, where they can kind of see what it is that they're looking for. And especially the types of roles that we staff for on the associate side, being more administrative and customer service focused, those positions are so personality based compared to, softwares and things like that. It's very personality based on what it is that the candidate meshes well with the team. So that's something that we really take into consideration when we are looking to place people and what our clients are looking for. We want to make sure that personality is a good fit.
Yeah, I think you're yeah, exactly right. I mean, the chemistry has to work in order to be really successful. And I can imagine a medium-sized company that's trying to, grow to that next level, take that next leap. It's a big commitment, and it's probably tough to make that commitment, whether you have to build out office space or not, but to hire, a dozen customer service agents or 15 or whatever, as full-time employees, there's a lot of risk in there and a lot of
Hmm.
knowns, probably more unknowns than there are knowns. So
Right.
really, the temp to permanent really makes sense. Lets the company flush out if that's a good move or not. If it's not, they can unplug it easily enough without any major upheaval. Um, but if it is going to, they may fine tune their business plan and even shift based on their experiences.
Right, exactly. And it is one of those things where initially it might seem where it's expensive or not very costly. However, it's more expensive to make a bad hire. So being able to, try before you buy in that sort of sense, it actually winds up being a cost savings down the road. And a lot of times our clients are familiar with that type of model, but also they're like, I don't know what this position's going to turn into. It could be something very different, but we want to make sure that we're getting the work that's done now completed.
Yeah,
And then that way, if it does make sense to bring the person on board. And there's also been times too where we brought in somebody on just a temporary basis. They're like, there's no way this is going to turn into a permanent role. And they've been great. We've made a great match from a personality standpoint. And they're like, they're great. We're going to find a spot for them. And they wind up getting hired on into a totally different role too. So there's a lot more flexibility when it comes to the temporary or temporary to hire side
sure.
from the client end. So in the end, it might be an initial cost up front, but it could be a cost savings long term.
That's really good. So now the candidates that you place with these clients, are they um, folks that you have, let's call it, in like on a list that you know of, or when there's a project, do you have to go out and then search for these individuals?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the answer is both. The short answer is both.
Okay.
But the value that we try to add is that these are the types of positions that we fill for all of our clients, no matter what. So we're always proactively recruiting these types of candidates. On our team here in the associates division, we have 4 recruiters that's what they're doing day in and day out. They're interviewing these customer service, administrative, HR types of candidates so that when our clients come to us with a need, we have candidates that we've already talked to, we've already vetted, we've already got an idea of what it is that they're looking for from a pay rate standpoint. We already know where they're located and how far they're willing to commute and able to commute. If they're going to be relocating, we know if they're open to temporary positions or temporary to hire. We know all those things ahead of time so that when we give them a call and say, hey, we have this opportunity, it's at XYZ company in this location at this pay rate. Are you still available and can I submit you over? Like we've already done that back end work. So then when our clients call us, we have people that we can send over ideally right away. But then also to that point, if it is something that's specific that they're looking for and we just don't have those types of candidates readily available, maybe it's, a specific software that they need to have in their background, or maybe it's a customer service role, but it's within a logistics company, for example, and they want somebody who has that international experience, we can then pivot accordingly and start sourcing for those types of candidates. But the value is that we have four people that's what they're doing. And, a lot of times when we're working with these companies, even if they have an internal recruiter, it's just one person working on several different recs for the company. So they're not giving it necessarily that type of focus. Where on our team, if it's, a position that's looking to fill right away, that's our immediate focus, and that's what we're going to start sourcing for.
Right, right. Well, and I also imagine that because this is your sole focus, if you have to go out to the market to find a candidate, you probably can get past the noise a lot quicker and get to the root of the individual, understand if they're a good fit or not. You can kind of flush it out more quickly because you have so much experience.
And a lot of our candidates wind up, if we place them, or let's say we're working with them on their job search, like we're a free service to our candidates. So, we help with the resumes and interview preps and everything like that. A lot of times we can't place everybody, but as long as we provide some type of value to them, that's really what we're looking for. So a lot of times our candidates will refer us people. I know you didn't necessarily find me a job, but here's somebody that, I know who's looking for work. We get a lot of referrals from candidates as well, which is something that's awesome. That's a great way to find really good people. Just good people know good people. So we're always open to having referrals from the candidate side too. So ideally, maybe this person, they found another opportunity, they're not available, but they know someone in their network that could make sense for the job too. And, we're able to tell the client too, like, this is somebody that was referred directly to us and we think they would be a good fit.
Right. Good. Good. So that's awesome. And I think you guys are really doing a great job with that. Now you hire for so a lot of the positions that I'm it runs through my head are considered maybe entry level positions. But do you
Mhm.
also recruit for management positions, leadership positions within those areas, human resources, customer service, et cetera?
Yeah, we do. So a lot of the positions we do are, like you said, more entry level, or the clients are looking for more of an entry level type candidate.
Mhm.
However, we do see a lot of that mid-level types of positions too, where somebody who they've been doing this for a few years, they're not super green in what it is that they're looking for, but almost like they know enough to be dangerous at this point. Like they know they're an added value to their current company, or they've been an added value to a previous organization, but due to reduction in force or something like that, they find themselves in the market. Nothing due to performance, just due to the way that the economy's been. And, they might be looking for a new opportunity too. So we definitely see, also, we get requests from clients where, maybe they're in this role currently, but they're looking for a jump into more of that leadership management type of role too. So, we take an idea of what it is that the clients are looking for. Every time we do get a new opportunity in, we set up a call, get an idea about what it is that they're looking for, not just the day to day, but any software experience,
Sure.
anything that they specifically want to see on the resume, so that we can then tailor our search and tailor our outreach to the candidates and being like, this is what they really want and this is what they're really looking for. You have that. Make sure you talk about that in the interview. So we also provide coaching
Oh,
when
good.
it comes to the candidate side. And then on the client end, they could be asking for 10 different things with, 2 years of experience at a lower salary range. We then approach that consultative relationship where it's like, okay, based on what you're looking for, you're probably at the lower end of the salary range. If you were to provide, a bit more or some incentives or something like that, we might have better luck finding candidates. So just kind of getting an idea from the client end, like where can they be flexible in order to find the right person too.
Yeah, that's a balance.
It is.
Coaching the candidates, but also coaching your clients to kind of foster the best possible relationship.
Right, exactly. And just the market's been so crazy over the last 4 years, it was in 2022. Beacon Hill had our best year ever. We became a $1 billion organization,
Wow.
which is incredible for the size of the company that we are. But, over the last 2 years, the economy hasn't been as strong as that has been from a employee standpoint. So there's a lot of conversations with clients that are just, I don't even know what's going on in the market right now when it comes to these types of candidates. So if you can give me any insight and have that, like, I have this question because I genuinely just don't know. It's been so crazy. So,
No doubt, no doubt. Well, that's great. And having such a broad breadth of companies that you've worked with really helps feed that knowledge.
mhm,
You know,
exactly.
so it kind of feeds itself and help. That's why you're growing so fast. Um, I'm thinking about, a lot of organizations have outsourced their customer service overseas, and I'm hearing more and more companies are looking to pull those back into the States. Are you seeing
Mhm.
much?
We are seeing that. I've heard that from a couple different clients recently, actually. And I think a lot of that, again, like customer service and the clients and everything, they're seeing that it's not an added value. Again, going back to the cost, it might be a cost savings, but in the long run, what are you losing out of it? So we are starting to have some of those conversations. However, I do think it will take some time because I think a lot of positions due to COVID and due to everything that's been going on over the last couple of years, more and more companies are trying to automate as much as possible.
Sure.
So I think that might be, they're trying to figure out how to do that first before they completely pull back. So that's the latest of what I've been seeing.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, there's a balance there. Outsourcing overseas, you save some costs because the labor costs are less, but
Hmm.
there's a price to pay for that in the experience that your end user realizes on the phone when they're trying to get support for something. And certainly automation is valuable, and a great way to utilize automation to help grow your business. But I notice in my own business in precise fleet tracking, um, we do everything we can to take every call live and address
Yes.
every call here locally. In fact, we don't advertise a toll-free number because I want people to know that this is our area code, and I just received a call last week from a client who has been struggling to find somebody to fill a specific need that we were able to address. And she said, when I saw your 847 number, I knew you were local somewhere, and I wanted somebody local because I'm just tired of doing the long distance
Hmm.
support thing. And so I think the end users are starting to I don't want to say demand, but drive that need for a little bit more of the white glove attention, the concierge
Absolutely.
approach. And so I think the innovative companies are trying to figure that out and be a little bit more responsive. And even if there's an upfront cost, the payback in a very in not necessarily long term, even midterm, the payback is significant when it
Right.
when you separate yourself from the rest. And so I think that's encouraging to me because
Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
We
so
are seeing that more and more where it's, that customer service aspect, or I can't get anyone on the phone when I'm calling somebody to just try to answer a quick question. So yeah, we're seeing that more and more.
right, language barrier, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of
Hmm.
cultural differences, etc. So that's good to know. And I think that's good for our overall economy also.
Hmm.
We can bring more of that in-house into the States. It helps everybody. And so that's good. Kathleen, we're going to take a quick break here. Before we do that, I want to get your contact information so anybody that's listening, if they want to reach out and find out more about Beacon Hill, I want them to be able to reach you, whether it be you directly or however you want them to connect with Beacon. What would you what would you share?
Yeah. Yeah. So the best number for me is my direct line, and I am out and about a lot, but I do get it going straight to my cell phone as well.
Sure.
So the best number, again, local number, 847-466-0326. And then if for some reason I'm not available and you want to email me, or if you just have additional questions, the best email is K Parhas, my last name, P like Peter, Arhas, at beaconhillstaffing.com.
Okay, great. So your phone number is 847-466-0326.
Yes,
Okay, great. And then kparhouse at beaconhillstaffing.com.
that's correct.
Great. Well, that will be in our show notes. It'll be on the screen for our viewers as well. And I certainly encourage all of our listeners to reach out to Kathleen and tell her what a great job she's doing on our podcast today. But let her know when you reach out to her that you heard about her here on I Got a Guy podcast, because that's how networking we kind of connect the dots and make sure that we're delivering the value that we believe we are delivering. So, but Kathleen, let's pause for a second. We'll take a quick commercial break, come back, and we want to talk through some successes, some of the types of companies that you've worked with, so our listeners can really get their arms around how you might be able to help them. Okay, so we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back with Kathleen from Beacon Hill Staffing. Thank you for listening to I Got a Guy podcast. I hope you're getting a lot of knowledge from this week's guest. But now a word from our sponsor. Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions works with business owners that own commercial vehicles. We help these business owners enhance their growth and profit through the use of GPS tracking technology. Specifically, Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions is known for three key principles. First, we are very knowledgeable in the field of GPS tracking and working diligently to learn more every day. Second, we are accessible. We do not hide behind a toll-free number, and we do not have any overseas call centers. We know our clients personally, and we're extremely committed to serving all of our clients as we'd want to be served. And third, we are responsive. We deliver our GPS units promptly and work diligently to install as quickly as possible. Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions is consistently striving to exceed our clients' expectations. You can learn more about Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions at precisefleettracking.com or call us at 847-865-6008. Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions. We make GPS tracking simple. Now, back to the show. Okay, we are back. Thank you for sticking with us. I am Michael Drelichars, host of I Got a Guy podcast. We appreciate you being with us again this week, and we are speaking with Kathleen Parhas from Beacon Hill Staffing. She's located here in the Oakbrook area, but serving clients throughout the area. Kathleen, thank you for joining us today.
Of course.
So, Kathleen, before the break, we talked a lot about Beacon Hill and from a broader perspective, the type of companies you work with and some of the trends in the market, which I think is really interesting and informative. Thank you for sharing all that. But I was hoping that we can kind of narrow our focus in for this half of the show on some of the solutions you'd be able to provide so that our listeners can say, oh, that's an interesting idea. I hadn't thought about that. And give them reason to give you a call and see if you can help their companies out.
Great.
So
Yeah.
you do a lot in the human resources, customer service, administrative area. Share a couple examples with us.
Yeah. So a great example is right now we have a client that we're working with that's in the retail industry. So as we all know, the holidays are coming up, and with that, they see an influx of orders and everything like that. So what we do every year, we've, at least since I've been here, we've been working with them. So for the last 3 years, at least, we help with their service call center professionals. So it's a fully remote position. What it is that position is, and what they're doing is just fielding phone calls day in and day out. There is a very strict, attendance policy during the training period. So we do make sure that we get all that vetted on the candidate end. There is no time off that you can take during Thanksgiving and the holidays. If you do miss X amount of days during training, you're going to be, unfortunately let go. So we set those expectations ahead of time with the candidate side. And we tend to have, I think right now we have anywhere between like 5 to 12 people that are currently on that assignment. So we start fielding those candidates in early September. And then usually the end of their hiring class is like mid-October. And then they're able to get through the busy season. They typically end mid-January, early February, depending on the returns and everything like that too. But again, that's like a purely temporary project-based period. Those are more call center individuals. We have other clients that are similar in the industry where maybe they're not on a fully remote basis, we can also help with on-site roles in that capacity too.
When you say remote, are you referring to the candidates working from their home or from your office?
Candidates are working from their home.
Oh, they are.
So
Okay.
they
Okay.
provide the equipment and everything like that. But we also have clients too, where they're coming into the client's office on a daily basis and doing those types of positions too. So it just kind of depends on what the client's comfortable with and also what it is that they're looking for. We are seeing those types of positions more and more going into the office as opposed to being on a remote basis.
Right.
However, when it is purely temporary, again, it offers some more flexibility as far as that goes.
Yeah.
So that's like a true like seasonal,
Right.
purely temporary type of opportunity that we've helped with recently.
Oh, that's great. I know that they're very needed, and it's difficult for a business to have a facility to be able to bring on 12 or 15 employees in their office for only a few months. I mean,
Right.
real estate, and so having a remote option is really, I'm sure, very beneficial to those companies.
Yeah, definitely. And another similar type of position that we were able to help with another client of ours, they are within the construction industry, and were they're a nationwide company, but how they've been growing has been purchasing smaller companies, and they kind of got to a point where they were like, we're all on different systems, we need to streamline it in some way. So they did a big massive company-wide system implementation, and with that came a lot of pushback from the internal employees, just being like, I have a lot to do on my day-to-day basis and I need additional support with that administrative help. So what we were able to do was, with that system implementation, we did it in waves as far as what it is that they were looking for. So initially it was one or two people that were brought on board to help out with more of that project coordination,
Sure.
administrative help. And then as they started rolling out the system and going live into more and more offices and more zones, they were bringing in more people. So I think we had anywhere from like 12 to 15 people on an assignment eventually with that role. But it was purely just to help with the system implementation. As the company grew, a decent amount of them actually wound up converting into permanent employees for that organization, which is always great. But again, it didn't start off that way. It was just more of like, as we're growing, this is what we're continuing to see. And then with that, eventually the project did end, but that was anywhere, I think that project from start to finish was an 18-month long project for the client. So they slowly started bringing more and more people on, and they slowly started taking people off or converting into permanent roles too. So, we're definitely in the long-term game. If there is, that temporary role, we can help out no matter how long the project is too.
Yeah, that seems like that would be a very complicated roadmap to build because multiple offices, multiple software packages, the skill sets you need to hire for each of the different roles is so probably a bit unique.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be very, but so it's awesome for you to be for the company to do it themselves while they're in the construction business and they're trying to absorb these other businesses. That's a daunting task for any business owner to say, okay, now let's bring on these different people in different areas to help us transition. So to be able to outsource that to you and say, all right, you know what, Kathleen, just handle it. This is what we want to do. This is the big picture. Yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
perspective. We need to do this. We need to do this, integration, for example. But then they leave it to you with your expertise and all your guidance to say, this is how it's best done. That
Right.
that seems to make so much sense, and that's tremendous that you're able to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And what the part that I love about this story with this particular client is that we actually had worked with them previously, but more on a permanent basis. So we actually staffed he was an HR coordinator at the time, and we placed him, I want to say like November of 2021, 2021 we placed him, and he got promoted into an HR business partner. we worked with them a little bit in 2022, again, like odds and ends, but that candidate became our client contact. So we stayed in touch with him. And then when he heard about this big project come through with HR, he was like, I know exactly who to call. And that's when he called us. So it was really like a true relationship building,
Sure.
staying in front of the client, but also, being that additional resource when we always say we're that emergency button, like we were that emergency button when they did need to help streamline some of that process too. So it was really a really cool win for us.
Yeah, that is tremendous. And when you started that relationship and you placed that HR coordinator in 2021, nobody had any idea this was coming down the path.
Right.
But you do the right things, you establish that relationship, and it pays dividends down the road when you least expect it. And that goes back to my law of stratospheric success we touched on, where give more in value than receive in payment. So
Right.
that's exactly what you did. You provided tremendous value to this company above and beyond placing one individual employee, which was still valuable to the company. But
Mm-hmm.
the grand scheme of that, the value that you provided has paid huge dividends over the years, and probably not only could you be in line for more opportunities with that company, but as the word gets out, you may be able to do something similar for another company, or they may acquire more companies and need to do another wave of integration. So that's tremendous. Great job.
Right. Right. Exact. Thank you. And yeah, it's really not just a core value of myself, but a core value of Beacon Hill. Like we are in the relationship building business. Not everybody needs us this year. Not everybody will need us next year, but eventually, it's nice to know when you need somebody. Like we will be there when that does come through.
Right. And that's a great approach to take. And I do the same in my business. I talk with clients all the time, and some of them have our competitors' products in their vehicles. Some of them don't need the tracking, and we eagerly admit that it's not a fit for everybody. But
Hmm.
we want to be your resource, but we're not going to we're not going to beat your door down until you buy. It's we want to provide value to you, and when it lines up correctly, it's a great fit. And we don't want to try
Right.
to cram a square peg in a round hole. We just want to make sure that we're a resource to our clients, so that when the timing everything lines up, we're there to help them. That's a
Exactly.
great way to grow a business. So that's awesome. Cool. So what other stories can you share with us?
So probably going along with just what differentiates us at Beacon Hill too. So we have what's called Gratitude Week that we do every single year with our clients and candidates too. And it's basically we always do it the week before Thanksgiving, and it's out constantly what we're doing day in and day out is making phone calls, sending emails, trying to get meetings. What this gratitude week really does is gives us an opportunity to reach out to our clients and say, not only thank you for working with us, but we really do appreciate you building the relationship with us as well. And how we do that is our managing director, we reach out to everybody and anybody we connect with that day during gratitude week. We talk to them about a charity that they might want to make a donation to, as well as a charity that we would want to make a donation to as well. So through that, we're put into a raffle. Everybody on the associates team gets put into that as far as any contacts that have been made. And then we pick winners each day. So each day there's new people that we are able to contact and say, this is awesome. We were able to, put a donation to the charity as well as the charity of my choosing. And it's something that Beacon Hill started in 2020 when Lord knows we all know what was going on in November of 2020 and all the uncertainty. And it was just another phone call that we were able to make that wasn't just us trying to sell our services. It was really just us being like, we're people too. We also have things that we're passionate about outside of work, but we do this work so that we can provide for those things that we're passionate about outside of work, right? So it's something that's really unique to our company and our industry.
Sure.
But with that, so Gratitude Week started in 2020. And this isn't a success for me. This is actually a success for our VP that's in the Chicagoland area. So she started the Chicago branch decades ago, and she's been able to grow as far as that goes. Within now, she oversees not only Chicago, but she also sees, we have a Minneapolis office, we have a Cleveland office, all three offices in Texas. We all indirectly report up to her. But one of her first client visits she ever had was with a big organization, and she has always just stayed in touch with them, had a couple positions come up here or there, but she reached out to them during Gratitude Week. And it was really just more of like, just want to say thank you. Like, I hope that, you can have good plans for the holidays. It's been such a hard year. I'll get you entered in for this raffle and everything like that. Thought nothing of it. Come 2021, that organization had, I don't know exactly if it was like grant funding or whatever, but they needed thousands of people to come in and help with their administrative tasks because they were within like the housing industry, and there were so many people that were displaced that they needed people to help with housing and everything like that. So the client called her in January and was like, we have this nationwide project that we need help with. How can you potentially support it? And nobody can trace it back exactly, but she is like, I'm pretty sure they called me because we had Gratitude Week and I had reached out to them about something completely out of the typical.
Right.
So can we help with any staffing needs? So, and still an ongoing project that they've been working with. It's obviously been, less than that throughout the last 2 years or so, but that's
That's
been,
still a huge win. Huge.
yes, huge win.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it was something nationwide too. So like we're able to support very, very large projects, even if, it might not necessarily be that down the road.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. Well, and you think about it, the gratitude week, going through that effort, it doesn't cost you a lot, but it could pay huge dividends. And
Right.
just to just to be appreciative to your client base is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's a good thing, but sadly, not enough companies do that. And I say
Right.
maybe it's a good thing that not a lot do it because those that do it can really separate themselves from the rest. You really elevate your whole company perception because you have that giving heart and you're willing to go above and beyond and not just worry about what puts a couple dollars in the cash register.
Right, exactly. And that was a big reason, just that whole mentality of why I wound up coming to Beacon Hill too, was just not only is it a lot of hardworking people, but it's a lot of good people at the end of the day, just trying to do the best that we can for our clients and candidates. So and things like that, it really shows.
Yeah, yeah, that is really important, and obviously, starting this gratitude week during the COVID year was really appropriate, very appropriate.
Hmm.
There was so much unknown at that point, and so much mass hysteria, and so many companies were struggling with whether they're going to survive or not. I mean, there was
Right.
and when I think back to, I started my business back in 2019, so we were just in its infancy, when we got hit with the COVID pandemic, and ultimately, I think I was able to make the best of it, and it sounds like Beacon Hill did the same. Whether you guys you
Hmm.
made the best of an unfortunate situation that you had no control over.
Right.
Now it sets you guys up for huge success beyond that, and you're doing this now. And now we are coming up on Thanksgiving here soon, and we are recording this here in November. Many listeners listen to our show throughout the year, but we're certainly recording this in November, so you got another gratitude week coming up in a couple weeks.
We do. Yeah. The week of the 18th, we're going to be doing Gratitude Week again. So would love to connect with anybody that week and get you into the raffle too.
Yeah, that's just awesome. I just really I'm excited when I hear those kind of stories because we as business owners we can get so mired down and focused on the balance sheet and the P&L and the numbers of the whole thing, trying to
Hmm.
eke out a living. But when you can take a step back and say, let's take a breath here and let's be thankful for what we've those that we were able to serve and those and see where how we can help and not just worry about the nickels and dimes.
Absolutely.
So that's a great story. I'm glad you shared that. And I wish you lots of luck with this year's Gratitude Week.
Thank you.
So we are coming up towards the end. Do you have any other stories you wanted to share?
Those are the main ones. I mean, we have, the ones that are, not as big and grandiose too. We do work with all different size companies. Like, we've placed several candidates that have been, for smaller companies that have been what this one just happened last week, I would say. It was a client that was referred to me by a networking group, the GOA that I joined. So it was a referral from them, and they're based in Florida, but they had some they're in the property management field, and they had some property up here in Illinois that they needed somebody who was familiar with property management, somebody who has done leasing and apartments and worked in that industry beforehand to come in and help as they were changing management for the position up here in Illinois. And we were able to get somebody started within that role within 10 days of the initial conversation and then having that person start. So, things like that. I know that's a much smaller scale, but that's been a huge win for us too.
But yeah, that is a big win because just like you talked about your construction company where you start out with one HR advisor that led it into a much bigger project.
Hmm.
Who knows? This one quick hire looks like it could be pretty insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but it could be very significant a year, 2 years down the road as things change. So
Right, exactly.
that's great. And I'm also a member of the GOA and got some great folks in that group. And it's great to make those connections and be part of the solution. And it sounds like you're also involved with and you touch a lot of different industries. So you learn a lot about different business,
Hmm.
whether it be property management, construction, and I'm sure hundreds of other industry segments that maybe some of them you don't never had any experience with, but you learned a lot in the process.
Right, exactly. Like I don't have an MBA, or I never went to business school. Like I actually went to college for teaching. So I never took a business class or anything, but I feel like in my experience, I have like a crash course MBA in all the different industries and everything that's out there too. So it's definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah, and the same for me. I didn't go to business school. I work with a lot of business owners, and I prefer to work with the smaller businesses because I like talking with the business owners. And
Hmm.
part of my part of my dialogue with the business owner is to understand their business. How else can I help? Because first of all, I offer a lot of referrals. So I'm always
Hmm.
just yesterday I was with a new business owner in Bartlett. He's in the towing business and an auto mechanic, and we spent 20, 25 minutes talking about how my network of contacts may help his business.
That's awesome.
And I really find that is it's rewarding to me because I like working with small business owners. I'm a small business owner myself, so I can appreciate the sleepless nights, the gee, how are we going to make ends meet? And oh wow, we got this huge order, So all the swinging of the pendulum from both sides of the equation that happens, day in and day out, and it's never boring that way.
Right, exactly. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah, it really is. It really is exciting, and it's it just works. And it's not for everybody, but for many of us, it's a great fit, and glad to be part of the bigger picture. So, well, Kathleen, thank you so much for being with us. These are great scenarios. I really appreciate the fact that you shared some big wins and some smaller wins because I want our listeners to get an understanding that they may be a small company with 3 employees and they want to add 2 more employees and they don't know how to do it. You could fit that need. It doesn't have to be a 30 or $40 million business to be able to need your services. So
Right.
that's really because I don't know exactly all who that listen to our show, but a lot of our listeners are small business owners. So we want to be able to serve that
So,
community as best we can, and in any way we can. So thank you for doing that. Um, anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
no, I mean, thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it. It's definitely been awesome to work with clients in the area and just again, like you said, help those small businesses and help them grow. Like that's what we're here for. So I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, to our listeners, thank you for listening to this episode, and I encourage you to reach out to Kathleen. Kathleen, why don't you share your phone number again with us and your email address so that our listeners can get in contact with you?
Yeah, the best number is 847-466-0326. And my email is kparhas@beaconhillstaffing.com.
Great. All right. Again, that'll be on the screen and in our notes. So please reach out to Kathleen if you have any staffing needs, or if you just want to brainstorm about maybe whether or not they could help you in some way. A quick phone call wouldn't hurt. So I encourage you to do that. And again, I've touched on it a couple times. I want to throw a quick little plug in for my day job, Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions. We work with business owners, similar business owners that Kathleen works with, and we help these business owners enhance their growth and profit through using our GPS tracking technology. So for business owners like construction companies and contractors and roofing, plumbing, etc., if you have a fleet of vehicles, a fleet as small as one vehicle could be your fleet. If you have a logo on the side of your truck, we feel you should have a tracking unit inside the truck, and we can help you with that and give you all the necessary information, the data that you get from these vehicles. They give off a lot of information, and it's really important to know how they're being operated when they're outside your purview. Sometimes your drivers will drive off, and you hope they're doing all the right things, and most of the time they are. In case they aren't, or in case there's a question, we have our data to help you put the pieces of the puzzle together. So we'd love to help any business owner that has a set of vehicles that just wants to get a little bit more information about what's going on. It can help manage the costs, potentially reduce insurance costs, and other aspects. So there's a lot of really important values and great return on investment when you utilize GPS tracking. So I'd encourage you to reach out to Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions. Our website is precisefleettracking.com. That's precisefleettracking.com, or call us at 847-865-6008. That's 847-865-6008. We'll start the discussion and see where it goes. But okay, so that's that. Thank you for letting me throw that plug in there. Love to get a message out to our listeners as well about our business. So, to our listeners, thank you again. We'll look forward to speaking with you again next week. So stay tuned, and we'll keep the guests flowing. Kathleen, thank you so much for being with us this week, and make it a great week. We'll talk to you all very soon. Take care. Thank you for listening to I Got a Guy podcast. For past podcasts and more information, go to igotaguypodcast.com. That's igotaguypodcast.com. Please share this podcast on your social media feeds and tune in again next week to I Got a Guy podcast.